The crucifixion of Jesus Christ is one of the most well-known events in Christian history. But have you ever heard about what happened to the people who were responsible for it? According to the Bible, the men who played a role in the crucifixion of Jesus ultimately met terrible deaths as a form of holy punishment. In this video, we're going to dive into the stories of what happened to the men who played a part in crucifying Jesus. Don't forget to watch the whole video and don't forget to like it, leave a comment, and share it with your friends and family to show some love and support. The events surrounding Jesus' crucifixion are still debated and investigated to this day, so join us as we uncover the fates of those involved in this infamous event. Act 1. The Betrayal of Judas. Our story begins with Judas Iscariot, one of the 12 disciples of Jesus. Judas famously betrayed Jesus by identifying him to the authorities with a kiss. According to the Bible, Judas was paid 30 pieces of silver for his treachery, but he later regretted his actions and tried to return the money. However, his betrayal had already set in motion the events leading to Jesus' crucifixion. Judas' fate was a tragic one. After realizing the gravity of his betrayal, he tried to return the money to the religious leaders, but they refused to take it. Overwhelmed with guilt and remorse, Judas hanged himself in a field that became known as the Field of Blood. His body burst open upon impact, spilling his innards onto the ground. This gruesome end is a chilling reminder of the consequences of betrayal and greed. Act 2. The Trial and Sentencing of Pontius Pilate. Next, we turn our attention to Pontius Pilate, the Roman governor who presided over the trial and sentencing of Jesus. Pilate famously washed his hands of the responsibility for Jesus' crucifixion, stating that he found no fault in him. However, under pressure from the crowd and the religious leaders, he ultimately gave in to their demands and sentenced Jesus to death by crucifixion. Pilate's legacy is one of moral doubtfulness and political advantages. According to historical records, Pilate's rule was damaged by corruption and brutality, leading to his recall to Rome in disgrace. Some accounts suggest that he was exiled or executed for his misdeeds, while others claim that he died by his own hand. Regardless of the exact circumstances, Pilate's role in the crucifixion of Jesus haunted him until the end of his days. Despite the brutal nature of Pilate's rule and his involvement in the crucifixion of Jesus, some historians argue that he was simply a pawn in the larger political landscape of the time. The pressure from both the Jewish leaders and the Roman authorities may have forced Pilate's hand in making the decision to crucify Jesus. Regardless of his motivations, Pilate's actions ultimately led to a tragic and crucial moment in history that continues to be debated and analyzed to this day. Act 3. The Roman Soldiers and the Crucifixion. The Roman soldiers who carried out the crucifixion of Jesus were mere instruments of the state, following orders without question. Their brutal and efficient execution of this gruesome task is a stark reminder of the cruelty of the Roman Empire. According to historical records, crucifixion was a common form of punishment for rebels and protesters, meant to serve as a deterrent to others. After Jesus' death on the cross, the soldiers cast lots for his clothing, callously dividing his possessions among themselves. Little is known about the fate of these soldiers after the crucifixion, but it is likely that they continued to serve in the Roman army, carrying out similar acts of violence and oppression. Their names may be lost to history, but their role in the death of Jesus will never be forgotten. After Jesus' crucifixion on the cross, the soldiers cast lots for his clothing, callously dividing his possessions among themselves. Little is known about the fate of these soldiers after the crucifixion, but it is likely that they continued to serve in the Roman army, carrying out similar acts of violence and abuse. Their names may be lost to history, but their role in the crucifixion of Jesus will never be forgotten. As the soldiers carried out their orders, the religious leaders were busy plotting against Jesus, viewing him as a threat to their power and influence. These leaders organize a campaign of slander and defamation, ultimately leading to Jesus' arrest and trial. Their constant pursuit of Jesus climaxed in his crucifixion, a brutal and public execution meant to discredit his teachings and claims. Act 4. The religious leaders and the crucifixion. Finally, we come to the religious leaders who conspired to have Jesus crucified, seeing him as a threat to their authority and influence. These men were responsible for orchestrating a campaign of slander and defamation against Jesus, leading to his eventual arrest and trial. Their relentless pursuit of Jesus culminated in his crucifixion, a brutal and public execution intended to discredit his claims and teachings. The religious leaders who plotted against Jesus were motivated by fear and jealousy, seeking to maintain their power at all costs. After Jesus' death, some of these men continued to persecute his followers, leading to the spread of Christianity throughout the Roman Empire. While the names of these religious leaders are recorded in the Bible, their ultimate fate is shrouded in mystery, leaving their legacy to be judged by history. Despite their efforts to suppress the teachings of Jesus and his followers, the religious leaders ultimately failed to extinguish the growing movement of Christianity. The persecution only served to strengthen the resolve of early Christians, who spread the message of love and salvation even in the face of adversity. The legacy of these religious leaders may be one of fear and jealousy, but the legacy of Jesus and his followers is one of hope and redemption that continues to inspire millions around the world. When we look at the deaths of the men who were involved in the crucifixion of Jesus, we see how important this event is to Christians. It represents sacrifice, redemption, and forgiveness. Even though these men had tragic endings, their actions were part of God's plan for humanity. As we learn more about their stories, we see how complicated people can be and the choices they make. Despite their roles in a sad event, their actions were still part of a bigger plan for salvation and redemption. This shows us how everything is connected and how God works in mysterious ways in our lives. Their tragic endings show us why it's important to have good morals and ethics, and to believe in divine justice. The story of Jesus' crucifixion and what happened to those involved teaches us about the consequences of betrayal and injustice. It reminds us to stand up for what is right and to treat others with kindness and respect. As Christians, it's important for us to think about this story and try to live our lives in a way that follows the teachings of Jesus Christ. When we think about what happened to Jesus on the cross, we see how the choices people make can change the course of history. The guys who hurt Jesus didn't realize they were actually helping God's big plan. It shows how our free will and God's plan can work together in a mysterious way. Even though those guys were scared, greedy, or didn't know any better, their actions led to something good in the end. It's like a mix of good and bad, showing how God's love and forgiveness are endless. It makes us think about how our own choices, even the small ones, can be part of God's plan to make the world a better place. When we think about what happened to Jesus and how people were involved, we see that we have a big responsibility in the choices we make. Just like those guys played a role in God's big plan, we also have the power to make a difference in the world. Every choice we make, no matter how small, can either help or hurt God's work in the world. It reminds us that everything is connected and that we need to be mindful of how we live in order to follow God's plan. Let's be inspired by what happened to Jesus and try to show love, kindness, and forgiveness in a world that really needs it. Thank you for joining us on this journey through history and faith. If you found this video informative and thought-provoking, I hope this video has inspired and encouraged you. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to our channel for more content on religion, spirituality, and ancient history. We'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences, so leave a comment below and let's keep this conversation going. Stay tuned for more videos and fascinating content. Until next time, may you find peace and enlightenment in your own spiritual journey.